Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. We have launched a new web platform. Hope you're checking that out. You're going to be seeing the merger a little later on in the week once we buff up the new Baltimore Positive. I buffed my way down the highway on Sunday to Raljon, Landover, Largo, Central Avenue, whatever they're calling it. Dennis Koulatsos, do you know I woke up Sunday with the cold sweats around 6 a.m. I thought, I got to figure out how to get my Ticketmaster parking pass onto my phone, and I had to actually download the Washington football team app. So throughout the game on Sunday, I was getting alerts from the Washington football team. And Dennis, it's the big W, the big W. Yeah, but Luke never saw It's a Wild, 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 Wild World. He never saw that one. Do you know what I'm talking about? Remember that movie? Under the Big W. So anyway, I thought every time I've ever had to go down to that stadium, there's been traffic and people and where do we park? And thank God for my friends in the Planet Fitness family they've allowed my buses to park down there in previous years, and U2 and the Rolling Stones. But then I thought, no, there'll be no traffic. I have a platinum parking pass in Daniel Snyder's lot. I had covered parking, Dennis. I had covered parking for the game. I parked right by the front door. I put the picture up of me wearing my Ravens mask. But it was a surreal day. There's driving 40 minutes from my house. Dennis, the game ended so early, and they said, for all of you that want to get on the Zoom call for the press conference, we'll be Zooming 12 minutes after. And I thought, I can Zoom from 295. I watched the whole press conference, and if I had a question, all I had to do was hit, unmute, and I could have asked a question. And I thought, I'm just going to listen to the press conference. I walked into my home at 4:52 on Sunday and did post-game video radio with Luke from here at 5:15. It was a lovely day of football. We won. We're going to pick it apart. Lamar wasn't this, and the defense wasn't that. And they don't even have a name for their team down there, Dennis. So how's your week?
Pretty good. You know what? I think it's safe to say that the Ravens outclassed the Washington football team. I'm glad your commute was very efficient, right? Sounds very much like it was an efficient day for you. It was an efficient day for the Ravens. Certain there are some things that can clean up, but overall, you have to be pleased with the victory. It's still the National Football League, but there's a huge difference between both of these clubs, from the front office to the coaching staff to the players to everything, right? So to me, it was very much like watching the varsity against the junior varsity. Yes, the junior varsity had its moments in that game, but overall, that game was never in doubt. I never had anxiety or angst in terms of the outcome. Just wanted to get everybody out of there, injury-free, and I think the Ravens pretty much accomplished that.
One thing Luke and I talked about was confidence in your quarterback, right? And so we've had this era of Flacco here. Even when people didn't believe in him, he still had a pelt. The Lamar Jackson era. And then there's these franchises like, the Brian Hoyers trying to win football games on Monday nights and watching what's going on in the league. And then seeing this kid that they're playing with, right? And they are pretending he's a franchise quarterback. He does not throw the ball accurately, Dennis. Just watching 4 quarters against I don't want to say a pedestrian defense. I think the Ravens are better than that, but certainly not an elite defense. Certainly not an elite pass rush. They have a pretty good running back in Gibson. I thought that flashed a little bit for me. But watching the quarterback, I'm like, you can take that guy against our team 10 times, and they're not going to win unless Lamar kicks the ball around 3 times and Tucker's missing kicks and, bad things are happening because we're just a better franchise. The better franchise won on Sunday.
Well, the one thing about Lamar Jackson, again, we don't know what his ceiling is, but the Ravens during his tenure have won games on the road that they were supposed to win, whereas Joe Flacco, since 2013, had always struggled on the road against poor teams. So, again, the Ravens have struggled against great teams. That's been documented, particularly when they've fallen behind. But at least when they go on the road, they usually come back with a victory more often than not with Lamar as quarterback.
Dennis Koulatsos is here, Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Den, pull your mic up a little bit. There, I hear you better. There you go. So,
all right, there we go.
Hey,
Hey.
now we're broadcasting. Dennis is here every Thursday broadcasting where the mic meets him in the WNST studios from 3 until 5. And then Sunday mornings, of course, getting you ready for the game this week. Do you want to talk more about the Redskins? You want to talk more about the Bengals? Because, like, to me, they're sort of similar franchises, right? Like, but I'm expecting more out of this quarterback this week, right? So watching him, watching Josh Allen, watching some of these young quarterbacks, I'm wondering whether you have it or you don't have it. We can argue Baker Mayfield forever, despite their record. This is the kid I'm the most worried about in the division long term. Ben Roethlisberger will not be here in 2024-25. I'm pretty convinced of that, although Tom Brady's making a case down in Tampa right now for a second life. But this Burrow kid, the first time seeing him this week, I think we're going to get a better version of whatever the next version of the quarterback thing is than what we saw in Haskins on Sunday.
Burrow is putting up 300 yards per game with consistency, right? So they do have some weapons. The offensive line's very good. Joe Mixon is a wonderful dual threat running back, right through the air or through the ground. They do have some weapons. They match up with the Ravens well. I think they'll give the Ravens a much better fight than the DC Ball Club did. But yeah, it's exciting to watch this young man and see what he can do against the Ravens. And look, the nice thing is he's still young. He has a lot to learn. I think they'll be able to take advantage of him. But like any other game, this game is not a layup, and they have to take him seriously because they can inflict some damage on the Ravens defense that has shown some lapses.
3 running backs, 1 football. Lamar running a little less but more efficiently when he does. I think we're all trying to get a gauge, and I'm sure Greg Roman's trying to get a gauge too on what's the ideal way to do this? Is the ideal way to say, all right, we're going to go with Dobbins early in the fresh legs and Ingram who's not going to fumble late and, and Gus in there if you get the big lead? How much should Lamar run? And take that Lamar touchdown run just as an example of I think most of the play, he believed he was giving the ball away. And then he saw somebody's hips, somebody's legs. He saw something that made him keep it, and knowing that he had an edge and he had an angle. And only he knows that, only in that moment. And I'm not sure that the running back, whether it's Dobbin or Ingram or Gus, even knows whether he's getting the football or not.
I think you make great points. Look, when he ran that 50-yarder for a touchdown, I screamed at the TV set, be who you are. This is who he is. Let's not try to make him into Patrick Mahomes. That's not his game. His game is running the ball. So you know what? Let him run. Play to the guy's strengths, right? Don't make him. Let him stay in his own lane. And I think that's part of the success of Lamar Jackson, and they need to supplement that. I thought the biggest thing for the game, Nestor, was the fact that Ronnie Stanley was out. That can't be understated. You're talking about a franchise left tackle, perhaps the best left tackle in the game. You got Orlando Brown, who doesn't have great feet for a right tackle, never mind left tackle, on the left side, try to take care of a very potent Redskins front, Washington football team front, and you have DJ Fluker, a right tackle, hasn't played right tackle in six seasons. So I thought the offensive line overall held up very well given the circumstances and the fact that they had to reshuffle everybody. So when you switch sides, for people who don't know, it's like trying to eat dinner with your opposite hand. It's different. It's difficult. And I thought they did a good job of executing overall.
And they weren't even rehearsed on that, right? And Harbaugh's coy on Friday. Luke said they were out there practicing. He certainly did not get a lot of practice time, if he got any at all, at left tackle, in knowing what was going to happen there with him and Fluker. And again, you can do this against a doormat franchise, right? And look, Ron Rivera's struggle on Sunday on the sidelines, courageous. I guess we can all speak to whether he should be there or shouldn't be there, given their football team and the environment, COVID, and everything else that's going on. Patriots had their problems over the weekends. The Titans didn't play. That's now affecting our schedule and the Steelers and the bye week and all of that. So the big picture aside, beating the Redskins the way they did, I'm sure out at the complex this week, they're looking at the missed opportunities. Lamar's looking at throwing a little long, a little deep, maybe somewhere else where they could have done something differently. And I know in the national media, they're going to talk about the pass rush.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. The pass rush has been lacking for sure. And also on the flip side of the ball, it was good to see Devin Duvernay on the field. I think he needs some more reps. Miles Boykin continues to be a disappointment. He looks like he was lost on that interception that Lamar threw on that route. He hasn't been finishing off his routes lately anyway. But the Ravens have opportunities on both sides of the ball to get better for sure. But again, when you're playing these downtrodden franchises, besides winning, I think job two is to get out of there without getting one of your players hurt, particularly your franchise quarterback.
Or your franchise left tackle hurt further, right? So we're going to talk about Ronnie Stanley and whether he was close or not, whether he could go, whether he can't go. I have not gotten any oxygen from you on the Marlon Humphrey signing. So, kind of happened in the Friday news dump world of a president with COVID and all the nonsense that went on last week in America. But Marlon Humphrey got paid in the middle of a season, and Ronnie Stanley didn't, and then Ronnie Stanley didn't play. And even at Coons Florida Security Boulevard, there's only so much money to go around, right? So, and certainly in a salary cap. I'm not shocked they signed him. I'm sort of shocked it happened and the detente happened and he wanted to sign and they wanted to sign and they did it. I think anytime that kind of a contract happens in the middle of any season, especially a COVID season, that it's a little, okay, well, that's surprising. Not the news dump I was expecting, on our text service from Coons Ford. But nonetheless, good business sense for the Ravens. And if they're in love with him, if they want to marry the young man, then they did. But they're not going to be able to marry all of them.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. We've seen a rash of signings, but many teams around the league, and I think this signing signals to the Ravens. It's good for morale. Better sooner than later, right? And he's a wonderful young man. He's great on the field, off the field. No one punches the ball out better than he does. He just seems to have a knack for getting in there. Of course, he did that wonderful fumble. He caught the wonderful fumble in the game against the DC club. He's just a really, really special player, and he can play inside. He can play outside. He's a great representative. And the message is to the rest of his teammates that if you do what you're supposed to do, they will find a way to get the money to you. And if you don't,
the Packers
you're not going to get. Yeah, the Packers will pay. There you go. And Matt Judon got a couple of sacks. Hopefully he comes on strong and earns himself a big contract. I don't think it's going to be with the Ravens because of all the reasons you mentioned. It also sets up Ronnie Stanley to be franchised next year. I imagine they'll take a Lloyd's of London insurance policy on him with the pending size of his huge contract, but he's the next man up. I don't think they're in a hurry to do business, but this move made a lot of sense for a number of reasons. Again, I think the morale for the team can't be understated. Then when they take care of their own in the manner that they did, they continue to shine as the premier organization in the professional football.
Well, look, I don't want to kick the Redskins in the nuts too much, or excuse me, the Washington football team. But I got my picture here from my press box seat. So, hopefully I can zoom in on that and you can see. But if you look back in the far corner of the far end zone, so I'll zoom in on the far end way over here. It says World Super Bowl champions is what it says, right? And it says it in dark, and then you see the actual years that they have it. It's like in this light. So when the sun's shining, it says Super Bowl champs. You just can't see that it was like in the 1970s and 80s, right? Like so that it was so far back. The whole experience of going down there, and you're a Baltimore guy. I don't know if you even had enough money back in 1993 to have your $1,000 being held by Give Baltimore the Ball and PSLs and all the things that we've been through here since, we were younger men. But there was just something about driving into that parking lot one more time, all these years later, my dad's dead. Governor Schaefer's dead, right? Jack Kent Cook's dead. Art Modell's dead. David Modell's dead, right? All of that history and all of that you drive in there to see what our franchise and Purple Barney outfits in Baltimore, Art kicking the dogs, and what their franchise is. So, all of that. And then you drive in there now, and it's like, all right, you guys are going to have to rebuild that turd. And you're going to have to figure out who the owner is going to be and what your name's going to be and what jerseys you're going to wear and what decals you're going to have on your helmet and RFK and Sonny and Frank and all Riggo, the Hogs, all of that's gone now. And they're going to have to start from scratch. And there was something about the Baltimore-Washington thing, in Washington, as I would say, Ted. And I've asked a question about the rivalry, and it's like gone. Like 50-somethings like you and me had it in our soul, and our children don't have it, which is good. It's one less thing they have to hate in the world. But there was 3 hours for me on Sunday where I was glad that God made me a Ravens fan and not a Redskins fan.
Yeah, to have a rivalry, that means that both teams have to win sometimes. And just in the case with the National and the Orioles, right, you can't be rivals when you have a well-run championship caliber franchise and one that's just a downtrodden franchise
Under the
organization.
big W. Under
So,
the big W.
yeah, it's a shame because they had great fans. They had great passion under the days of Joe Gibbs. And look, we have stores in our organization that are in Northern Virginia, and they love that football team, and we were going back and forth this past Saturday on, texting each other and ragging on each other. But like I told them, we're really not rivals because you guys haven't won anything. And in fact, I told them that your favorite channel is a history channel because that's how far back you got to go to watch anything of significance that your organization has achieved. So
they don't even put it on NFL Network. They put it on NFL Network 2, where you get to watch the old stuff.
That's right. That's exactly right. So they're living in the past. And look, when it comes to professional football, well, we have a wonderful franchise, and our floor is their ceiling. Put it to you that way. I'm being nice.
As a real Baltimore guy, let me just say this: Mr. Snyder made sure that I had a comfortable seat. Good. I had some delicious salmon. Oh my God, the salmon was. I mean, I heard Zrebeck and Ginsburg. These guys, they're all bitching, Preston, about the hot dogs and the food was terrible. I'm like, you should have had the salmon pad thai with the green beans and the sesames. It was delicious.
There you go.
So yeah, assigned to me in WNST. It says so right here. Mr. Snyder made sure that I had a seat in the corner of the press box where I couldn't see anything. Down in distance, forget about it. That if you're sitting in the corner of the end zone down low, you can't see what's a first down. I watched the game on TV mostly because at the other end of the field, you can't see anything.
Hey, tell me about the noise, Nestor, because a commentator on TV did say that she thought the noise level at that stadium was louder than any other stadium she's been so far this year.
By 10.
Okay, by 10? Okay, gotcha. So
it was
almost
up to 80. Comical. It was like people were texting me and tweeting me about it. And I'm like, it's like comical. Like they're playing AC/DC at 105 decibels in here every time Lamar's in the huddle. That's
gotcha.
Why the music got loud when Lamar was in the huddle.
Well, they should be fined for that. I thought the standard was 70 decibels, and the league really needs to look into that because this game was insignificant.
They don't even have a name for their
significance
team.
Away.
Their team name was too racist for them to use it anymore. You think they're worried about breaking rules with sound? Come on.
True.
I was just happy the salmon wasn't poisoned. That's all.
Very true.
Oh, my God. It was honey glazed. It was delicious.
Glad you got out of there with your health.
It was like a miso. You didn't want any part of the cheesy grits. They were a little salty. But, what do you expect? Cheesy football in D.C. No name, no emblem, no victories. How about that? Dennis Koulatsos, he's selling cars over Coons Ford Security Boulevard. He will be here on Thursday from 3 until 5. The SSV on WNST is now the Dennis Koulatsos Show. You can find him at D. Koulatsos Show out on Twitter. Sell some cars, Den. Tell me what's going on with the vehicle market right now.
Hey, we 0 for 72 is going away, but we still have 0 for 60 months, right? So, again, it's a good window for people to save a lot of money, thousands of dollars. So they need to come out of here, Coons Baltimore Ford, save thousands of dollars on interest charges. And, of course, we're one-stop shop for all of your automotive needs, service, body shop parts. You name it, we got it. And, again, the great NST advertising helps us, and as we do a lot of repeat and referral business.
Now, I want to ask one question because, you don't want to be too nasty to the Washington because you do sell them cars, and I would think maybe you even have maybe somewhere at Coons Ford or somewhere in the Coons family, because I know the family also is on the D.C. Beltway, so I want to be nice that there might be someone there who's a Washington football supporter. What do they do with all their stuff now? I mean, the Chief Wahoo's on the pad, every Darryl Green jersey that's out there. I have 3 friends. I'm not going to out them today who they are, who have been lifer fans of said franchise in Raujon. What do they do with their stuff? All of it's marked to the team formerly known as. I'm just wondering. I mean, we didn't have to throw away our Flying B stuff, right? We could still wear it if we want to.
Well, they're probably at their local dollar store. I know one thing. My business partner Jim Coons used to own 100 seats at the old stadium there, and Mr. Snyder sent him a letter saying you got to give up 90 of them because he was concerned that he would scalp them in the open market. And Mr. Coons wrote him a letter. These are for my employees. And again, he got a response. You got to give up 90. And he said, you know what? come take all 100. So my business partner, Jim Coons, is very much a Baltimore Ravens fan. It has been for a long time.
Well, let him know. Let Mr. Coons know first off, because I've never met him. Thank you for the support through you and everything you guys do here to feed my family. And we're launching the new Baltimore Positive. It's beautiful. Pull it up and show it to everybody. But there was a time, a long time ago, Dem, where we didn't have a logo and we didn't have a color and we didn't have a scheme and a team, right? This is the original John Ogden hat. So, they'll rise again down there, and 4 years from now, they'll come up here and we'll get to beat them again. And I did wonder if 8 years from now, when I go down there, whether that's, what they're going to be called, who's going to own them, where they're going to play, because that stadium, it feels a little untenable, doesn't it? I mean, that their franchise, they're not leaving Washington, but they got a lot of work to do down there.
Hey, I'm just happy you had a good meal and a very efficient commute. That's probably that coupled with the Ravens' victory just doesn't get a whole lot better than that.
Dennis Koulatsos is on to Cincinnati. Is that what you're saying? You're on to Cincinnati.
Look, hopefully they'll let 7,500 of us in the stadium. That's what I like to see happen. Like to see things open up just a little bit for the home team.
Well, a little plug for Baltimore Positive here. Dick Cass spent about an hour with us on Thursday from his office with Don Moeller and I. And we also had an incredible conversation with John Feinstein. I know what a big golf fan you are, about Baltimore and Washington and Tiger Woods and all sorts of things, and Bob Woodward. So please go check that stuff out. But Dick, was very responsible. You just I've been around Dick 15 years, and I've had differences with Dick. I mean, one time I broke the Ravens schedule, Dennis, on your text service and texted out to everybody, and Dick shut down the email servers. This is true. It's a true story. About 12, 13 years ago, Dick shut down the Ravens servers in the building to figure out who leaked it to me. And he never figured it out because I didn't get it for the building. And I told him that. I called him that day. I'm like, Dick, you're shutting down the building. You're trying to fire one of your employees. It didn't come from in your building.
There you go.
I should have told him that on Thursday. We've had a laugh about it because it was a long time ago. Brought to you by Coons Ford, Security Boulevard. But, Dick runs the place the right way. And look, with the Titans and the Patriots, and I'm not saying that it couldn't happen. And Dick explained, like, if one of our players as a student, one of our veteran players has a 9-year-old child that goes to school and brings it home, that's going to happen. We know that's going to happen. You're trying to keep it out of your whole building so you can still play football on Monday night. And I felt better even about the Ravens talking to Dick, knowing that most of their job out there was keeping people safe. Like your job at Coons Ford.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, you're selling cars, you're doing all that, but you can't have one employee or one customer have it coming back to you. And I think from the Ravens' perspective, having a guy like Dick run the franchise, I mean, leadership starts at the top.
Absolutely. Fish stinks from the head down, too. So that's we don't need to look any further down there in D.C.
Under the big W. Under the big W.
Under the big W. That's what happens.
Now you're going to want to go watch that movie, man.
You got
Phil Silver's in it. It was fantastic. There he goes. Dennis Koulatsos, Coons Ford, Security Boulevard. We're moving from WNST.net to Baltimore Positive. We're putting it all into one stream, and you can find us at BaltimorePositive.com, the all-new Baltimore Positive. Dennis will be here on Thursday from 3 until 5, driving you home. He's over Coons Ford, Security Boulevard, and back again on Sunday morning before the Joe Burrow Show. We are WNST.net, AM 1570. Towson, Baltimore. We never stop talking Baltimore Positive.